We've done our part again, Blues fans. We've bought the tickets. We're going to turn up. We're going to bring the noise. Let's just hope these boys see this podcast, see all the see all the posts on social. They see all the urgency. They see all the passion from the fans, and they actually turn up and give us a performance to be proud of. So welcome back to Small Heath Alliance FC. And on Saturday, Birmingham City travelled to Huddersfield Town in a do-or-die game for the Blues. With how close and intense it is down the bottom, if we stand any chance of survival, we need to bring all 3 points back. But historically, these are the kind of games which Birmingham struggle to step up in. And case in point, last week against Rotherham, we showed that lack of passion and lack of bravery in the final third. So it's really time now for these players to step up and show us what they're capable of. But let's get into it, and I'm going to hand it straight over to you, Dad. And what are your thoughts for the game on Saturday?
So we've arrived at Last Chance Saloon. This is pretty much where we are. I've got 2 games to go now. And from a Blues perspective, we have to win both games. In my opinion, if we want to stay up, we have to win both games. This is such a mega game. We know that Huddersfield are in the same position, that they are below us. They've got to win the game as well. And so it's a win for both teams that both want to win, but also a draw is no good for either of us. A draw is brilliant for all the teams above us. So it's a really, really tricky game, one that I hope that the players can turn up in the way that they played against Coventry and not against Rotherham, because Rotherham was so disappointed. If we'd have put a chance away against Rotherham, we'd be having a completely different conversation now.
Yeah,
but we didn't, and we are where we are, and the only people that can get us out of this are our players.
And the Blues fan base is so fed up with this unpredictability of who's going to turn up week by week, the lack of passion, the lack of bravery in the final third. We're seeing it week on week. It almost feels like now the Coventry game was a little bit of a fluke in terms of the course of the season, doesn't it? We have had moments of okay performances, but that 3-0 against Coventry was just unbelievable. And Blues fans are thinking, why can't we just recreate that, a little bit more consistently? It's like, who's turning up this week? We don't know who's turning up, and that really worries me. And Gary Rabbit, I'm sure you don't watch this podcast, but if you do, please no experimental changes, no Burke. Let's go back to how we set up against Coventry. And for me, that means putting Miyoshi back in that attacking right-hand side of the midfield and just going at Huddersfield. We need to bring the game to Huddersfield. We need to be braver. We need to transition quicker, because rather than we were slow, we were sluggish. A popular word around socials for that performance was gutless, and I agree. It lacked courage.
Yeah, based upon the position we're in, and also as well, we set up our team, seem to set up our team, and you have to have some regard for the opposition when you're looking at what formation you're going to play. But why do we do that? I mean, Burke apparently, what Gary Rowett said, selected because of his physical presence to try and combat Rotherham. But surely it would have been better for us to set up how we want and let them worry about us. Keep the same team, It was amazing that, we had such a good performance against Coventry, and then there was no reason to change that team, in my opinion. And I hope that's what happens against Huddersfield. I hope that Gary Rowett will go back to the team that he picked against Coventry and give them the confidence to go on and try and do something quite special, because, we've had some great escapes over the years. If we can pull this off, this will be up there with the best of them, I believe. But again, we're in a position now. We've got a fixture with a team in just as much need as we are to get a victory. So once again, as we always say, this ain't going to be easy.
Away from home as well, and we all know our away record this season. 3 wins on the road is atrocious.
It's terrible. It's the worst I can remember for many, many seasons.
And the fact that Huddersfield have drawn 17 games this year, we'll go into more detail about Huddersfield and the Blues team, but just a simple observation of 17 draws this season. Blues' away record, it's, as I say, it's lining up mathematically and logically as a scrappy game. But just to remind people what happened a little bit earlier in the season, and I guess with where we are now, it's a little bit of a sour memory, really, but we actually managed to beat Huddersfield 3-1.
4-1.
4-1, earlier in the season. And it was a really good game of football. Yeah. And I just remember Siriki Dembele having an absolute blinder. He was all over, scored 2 goals. As I say, a really good game of football. I would love for us to go up there and replicate another 4-1. Can't see it happening. But it's going to be a really cagey, I think it's going to be really tense, and it's going to be a big battle for me in the middle of the park.
Yeah, well, we've had some comments on our other videos from Huddersfield fans basically saying that their team against Swansea last week, completely capitulated. They were lost 4-0 at home, and they think their players have given up. So I think that makes it a really challenging game for both sets of supporters, because neither of us are really going into this game with any great expectations that our teams are capable of doing anything, to get us out of this trouble. So I think they're in exactly the same boat as us. It's quite a strange situation, really.
It is. Yeah, it'd be interesting to put a question. If you are a Huddersfield fan and you are watching, what's happened this season? Because me and you, obviously, are Birmingham City supporters. This is a Birmingham podcast. We don't know the ins and outs of what happens at every club. And we did receive a comment on one of our previous videos this week, and it said that it all started to go downhill and turn when they sacked Warnock. And I was just interested to get that perspective. Was that the big catalyst which sort of made that downward trajectory for Huddersfield, or is it other factors? Really interested to get the perspective there. But just before we go into the specifics around the teams, the bookies have got Huddersfield at 5-4 and us at 11-5. So they've got Huddersfield as the favourite going into this game.
That's not really a surprise, given them the home team, and there's not much between
our
the
away
teams.
record.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little bit about Huddersfield and what I've seen. They set up primarily with a 3-5-2. They have tinkered with a 4-2-3-1 for some games, but most of their games are 3-5-2. So that makes them almost like a wing-back system with a packed midfield, and then the wing-backs will support the striker up front. They have struggled a little bit for goals this season, but no more than we have.
Well, their top goal scorer is their centre-half.
Yeah, actually, but now you mentioned that, just a few players that I've picked out. Yeah, so you talk about Michael Hellick. He's got 9 goals. I mean, it is strange for a team at this stage of the season to have a top goal scorer, the centre-half. What's that tell us? That tells us that corners, free kicks are going to be a real challenge, because clearly as a centre-half, that's where his goals have come from.
Absolutely.
Unless he's a penalty taker that I don't know about. But we've also got Delana Bergzorg. He's got 7 goals and 2 assists. Josh Koroma, I like him. I've seen him on the TV a few times. He seems like quite a decent left winger.
Yeah.
He's got 6 goals and 2 assists. Jack Radoni, 5 goals and 2 assists. And Sorba Thomas, who's a right winger, 4 goals but 9 assists.
Yeah.
So that tells us that, Sorba Thomas is a right winger. Therefore, a lot of their supply is going to come down the right-hand side.
Yeah.
So Buchanan's got to be on his game there to cut that out.
The fact their attacking right mid's got 9 assists and their centre-half has got 9 goals screams set pieces, screams crosses into the box.
Yeah.
And Blues have been vulnerable this year to conceding goals just from having, silly balls come into the box. We need to stop that supply, don't we? Because, again, how many times do we scream at Buchanan and Laird going, don't let them get the ball in the box in the first place.
Yeah.
So they need to stop that this weekend.
Yeah.
Sanderson and Bielek need to be on their game, and we really need to cut that supply from even going in the box in the first place. That could be one of the keys to neutralising Huddersfield.
They do ping a lot of balls in the box, and they do play a lot of long balls. So that's something.
It's like Sheffield Wednesday, that sort of pack the box and sort of lump it in there, and it's a formula which has worked and served those two teams quite well.
I think teams do that when they haven't got the technical players to play the ball through. So obviously, try effectively bypass the midfield where they can, and then ping the ball.
Forcing numbers, isn't it?
Yeah. So basically, that's doing what you need to do for suit the style of your team.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then, so you said that Huddersfield set up in a 3-5-2. We're almost certainly going to see Blues set up in that 4-2-3-1. And if we do go back to the Coventry formation, just to remind everyone what that starting lineup was. That was Ruddy in goal, Buchanan left back, Bielek and Sanderson in the middle with Laird right back, Paik and Sunjic in the centre defensive mids, Keshi Anderson on the left, Tyler Roberts in the middle, Miyoshi on the right, and then feeding into Stansfield up front as well. And for me, he has to go back to that formation and that selection, because it works so well against Coventry. And we could see against Rotherham, fair enough, we know Miyoshi missed that sitter in the 91st minute, but he was making a difference.
Yeah.
He was. Wasn't a perfect performance. No one had a perfect performance, but you could see us starting to unlock them in certain times and areas in that second half through those channels. So I think he has to go back to that. And for me, these players, time is over now for that lack of passion. We need to see them fired up. If this isn't going to get them fired up, Dad, I think that it sums up the team for the season, doesn't it? If you're in that relegation battle, you're now there. You need to win this game. If that isn't enough to get these players fired up, I don't know what will.
But it has to. This we are at that point of the season right now where this has to happen. There is no choice now, because if we come away from that game with a draw or even a defeat, that effectively is going to relegate. It won't definitely relegate us, because even if Sheffield Wednesday beat West Bromwich Albion, that would mean that they would be 3 points ahead of us. If we draw, we'd be obviously against Huddersfield. That would be the 3-point difference. That means we go into the final game needing to beat Norwich and them to lose against Sunderland away, which I don't think is going to happen because at the moment Sunderland are very beatable. They're not, they're not the team that they were at the start of the season. So this is this game here determines whether we have a real chance against Norwich. We've sold out Norwich. The stadium, I think it's sold out in about a day and a half.
Yeah.
So all the tickets have gone for the Norwich game.
We've done our part again, Blues fans. We've bought the tickets. We're going to turn up. We're going to bring the noise. Let's just hope these boys see this podcast, see all the posts on social. They see all the urgency. They see all the passion from the fans, and they actually turn up and give us a performance to be proud of. And and I have no doubt, Dad. I think you might have mentioned it earlier. If we turn up like we did against Coventry, and I know we're almost talking a fluke performance to some extent there, but if we turn up like we did in that game, I have no doubt that we can beat Huddersfield. And a lot of Blues fans are getting frustrated with this. We don't know which Blues team is going to turn up, do we? No,
and that is the real difficult part. I think if we can pressurise them and if we can put Huddersfield under pressure, their confidence is going to particularly after what happened against Swansea. If you look at their record as well, they are prone to conceding late goals as well. So if we're still in the game after 70, 75 minutes and we can pressurise them, they are prone to conceding late goals as well. Yeah. So there are chinks in their armour that we can exploit, but it will require our guys to be on their game. Mm-hmm. And remember, from what I've seen, Huddersfield can be quite a physical team. Means they're quite big, and we've always said this against other teams. We're quite small, aren't we, in terms of our team? So we've got to match them physically as well. But I think that if we can play in the way that we know that we can, and the good Birmingham City turn up, we've got every chance of winning this. Mm-hmm.
As you say, the big question is what team's going to turn up. And just a little bit of a worrying point for me to some extent is... just to jump back to Huddersfield just for 2 seconds. So in the last 5 matches, they've 2 losses, 2 draws and 1 win. And the worrying thing for me is they average over the course of the season 38.5% possession. And we know this Blues team doesn't do well when we're given more of the ball. We almost look a little bit lost, and we lack, as I say, that courage and that bravery in the final third moving forward because we have more of the ball than we used to. We saw it against Millwall. We saw it against Rotherham last week. So I hope... because Rowett is naturally, and I'm sure all Blues fans will agree, he's a defensive, naturally minded kind of manager. So I hope he steps out of that mindset a little bit this weekend. Because for me, the Rotherham game was too defensive. They were already relegated. Yep. They're bottom of the league. Yep. And we almost sat back a little bit. And it was a very strange setup. Whereas Huddersfield, no. That's not acceptable. We need to go at them and gun at them, put them under pressure, make them sweat.
Like we did against Coventry.
Exactly.
If we can do that, and we've got, 6 shots against Rotherham in 90 minutes against a team that's already been relegated.
2 clear-cut chances.
It's not enough. It's not enough. And, we've got to make our decision-making better, but we've got to create those chances and be bold and shoot and, get those chances on the board. So I suppose the inevitable question, Matt, then for you is, what do you think the score's going to be? What do you think the outcome's going to be?
I've got a head prediction and a heart prediction, as we always do on this podcast. And if the boys turn up like we did against Coventry, again, my heart says we can beat Huddersfield. We really can. And I think we could do a 2-0. However, I'm going with my head on this one because I've gone with my heart so many times on this podcast and I've sort of made myself look a bit silly with some predictions in the past and stuff. So I'm going to go with my head. And sadly, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Okay, well, I think we can win this. I really do. I think I'm hoping that the team that played against Coventry can turn up and we can pressure them as well. And I think there'll be a lot of goals in this game as well. I think because it's too important for both teams. There's going to be mistakes. It's going to be nervy. But I'm going to go for a 3-2 win for us. Yeah, I think because I
don't think I can handle that, Dad.
Well,
that's going to be intense. In which way are the goals going in? Can we go 3-0 up, please?
No, I've got a feeling we'll be like 2-1 down after about 70 minutes, but we'll win it in late.
Really? Yeah. We haven't done that all season.
No, but I just looking at the way and the importance of the game and the way that that they do concede late goals as well. And I've predicted 2 goals for them because we are fine, even though our last 2 games have been clean sheets. But that's because we've prioritised defence, and if we have to sort of step a little bit away from that now because we've got to get goals, haven't we? I am going to go for 3-2, and I think if we can get that, then I'll be very happy.
That's interesting because normally we're quite closely aligned, where we're quite miles apart on that one. So that'll be interesting. And again, Blues fans, please let us know your score predictions in the comments below. But I don't know. I've just got a feeling. I'm actually backing a 1-1 for the reasons you've done, but for contradictory purposes. So I actually think it will be cagey and it will be nervy. But for me, I don't know, with their draw record and our away record, I just think it's the perfect mixing pot for a draw. And as I say, I have no doubt we can beat Huddersfield. No doubt we can beat Huddersfield if we turn up like we did, and we know we can against Coventry. I also know we can lose against Huddersfield if we turn up like we have. However, logically speaking, I think I'm just going to go for 1-1, and you've gone for
I'll go for
3-2.
3-2 to Blues. Yeah.
I hope you're right, because that will make it won't make the Norwich game any easier, but it will significantly improve our chances into that game.
I just want, and I'm sure all Blues fans think the same. You know, I want the lads this weekend to go to Huddersfield and to make us proud, to put in a performance and give us something meaningful to cheer about against Norwich. You know, because we want to get behind the boys, but they need to give us something to help us get behind them, particularly in the Norwich game where we want a really good chance of staying up. You know, mathematically we won't be relegated even if we lose against Huddersfield, even if other results go against us. But of course, that's going to make it really difficult. For all I want the boys to do is go out there, get the points we need. And I'll tell you something, if we do beat Huddersfield, the atmosphere at St.Andrews at Knighthead Park against Norwich will be bouncing.
Oh, it'd be electric, won't it?
It'll be absolutely.
I've almost got goosebumps just even talking about it right now.
But of course, that demands them to do the first step first, and that's to get us the victory.
Yeah.
So come on, lads, get out there, give us a shift in, get us 3 points, and let's give us a chance of staying up.
Yeah. And also, I just want to reference a point that you made in the Rotherham post-match. I just want to bounce it back off you quickly and see whether you still agree with this, because I really do. I want to see Bielek have the captaincy against Huddersfield.
Yeah, I'll definitely advocate that.
Yeah.
Because obviously Sanderson's not going to be captain, so if he gives it to Ruddy, none of me or you are big fans of having the goalkeeper as the captain.
It's too far away. I've said this loads. It's too far away from the action for me. If you've got an attacking corner, how's the goalkeeper going to? You know, all those sorts of things for me. So and also give it to Bielek is commanding. He's shouting at players. Against Rotherham, he was getting annoyed and talking and shouting and screaming. So for me, I'm with you. Give it to Bielek.
Give it to Bielek, yeah, definitely.
Give it to Bielek, yeah. Well, you just heard our opinions on the game against Huddersfield on Saturday. But as always, Blues fans, we'd love to hear from you. So please, if you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And we always love it when you engage with the channel and write your comments, whether that be your score predictions, whether that be your thoughts and outcomes on the game, or any wider sort of topics that are all about Birmingham City. But don't forget to check us out on our other social media channels, on our X page and our Instagram page. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel so you don't miss any future content all about Birmingham City. And me and Dad will see you on the next video.